Ted, thank you for joining me today. I cannot wait to hear what you're up to. Ted is the COO of Success Magazine, and he's here to share with us his new co-working venture, or Success's new co-working venture called Success Space. Ted, I told you in our pre-chat that I have been a Success Magazine reader, and I didn't realize until I read your release that the Success brand has been around since 1897.
It is.
That is amazing.
Yes,
So
we're coming up on our 125th year anniversary.
wild. Okay, so we'll get into a little bit of detail about what success is for the folks who are listening who don't know, but maybe kind of fold that into what is your co-working story? How did the Success brand decide to kind of manifest some of what it's doing into a physical space? I would love to hear the background.
Sure, yeah, most definitely. And thank you, Jamie, for having me on. It's really my pleasure. So, high level success, like you said, personal development concept, right? Success Magazine's been around for almost 125 years now, and was recently acquired by EXP World Holdings. Okay. And EXP World Holdings is the owner of a few different businesses, one being EXP Realty, and another being Verbella. And Verbella is a virtual meeting software. Okay. And so, at one point, our founder, Glenn Sanford, recognized that there was a need for co-working space, a co-working space concept, but didn't really have the branding to go with it. And so after the acquisition of Success, it really became a natural fit to couple Success branding with the co-working concept. But we really didn't want to just go out and do kind of the same concept as we've kind of seen out there for a while. And we wanted to incorporate some of the great features that Success has into the concept. And so we put together a team of experts in each individual piece of the business. And so that would be, experts in franchising, co-working, and cafe, as well as coaching, and brought all of them together and started brainstorming on what a new model would really look like, and what a new model would look like in conjunction with Verbella, our virtual office space platform, and in light of what's changed in society because of COVID, right, and the new working habits because of COVID. And so we took all that together, and that's how we brought together the success-based concept.
Okay, I wouldn't have guessed that. Isn't it interesting how, that acquisition just kind of like presented this, well, how do we fit these things together? And it makes perfect sense when you describe it that way. I love it. So I'd love to hear what you talked about. Sort of, we want to do something that's a little different than what's already out there. What will the member experience look like at a Success Space?
Sure. So, the typical, and this, right? The typical co-working concept tend to be downtown, large MSAs, anywhere from 15 to 20,000 square foot of workspace, mix of large offices, small offices, day spaces, whatever it might be, right? And so what we said is, number one, all right, what's changed in society since COVID? So because of that change, what we said is we're not going to necessarily place these downtown. We're going to go to where the consumer would get on the on-ramp to go to that downtown, okay? Number two, we don't want huge overhead, 15 or 20,000 square feet. So we're going more with a 5,000 square foot concept. And number three, we want multiple revenue streams. And so as we were brainstorming that multiple revenue stream concept and keeping in mind our Success alliance, we came up with And someone said this to me once, and it was really brilliant, that Starbucks is a co-working facility. They just make their revenue one latte at a time, right? And I thought that was really brilliant. And so with that, the front, call it 1,500 square feet of our space is actually a cafe where we serve coffee, pastries, anything that you can imagine from some of the other brands out there. We do all of that as well in that front 1,500 square feet, as well as, for, more towards the afternoon, beer, wine, charcuterie trays, veggie trays, those types of things. Right. And so, so number one, that first 1,500 square feet open to the general public, they can come in, work in that space, whatever it might be. But in the back of that 1,500 square feet, a glass wall that leads into our co-working facility. And so anybody that's in the first, portion can come into that back area and actually start working in the co-working facility. And so we've changed the concept again to, not necessarily bill by the week or the month or whatever. We've taken our billing all the way down to by the minute. And so someone can come in from the cafe and walk into the co-working facility, sign up, and literally stay there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or a year, whatever it might be, and have different billing options available to them. And so that's kind of that back 3,500 square feet, plus or minus of the space is that co-working area. But then also built inside of that co-working area is, call it somewhere around a 10 by 10, 12 by 12 office for a success coach. And this is a coach that's been actually certified through our success coaching system. And if you think about all the different entrepreneurs out there or corporate workers, executives, whatever it might be, that just needs someone to bounce ideas off of, especially that individual entrepreneur, right? There's someone that's in the trenches trying to figure things out. We have a coach available for them so that they can come in, work in our co-working facility, have a coach available that they can, bounce ideas off of, share thoughts with. And so that really kind of explains the different spaces in our space, plus the 3 different revenue streams. And so that person can come in and out, have their pastries and coffee in the morning and work in the co-working facility, wind down their day with a nice glass of wine and a charcuterie board, and move on from there. And so it's a very interesting concept, and I would say fairly different from most others that are out there.
I'm super interested in the on-staff coach. Mm-hmm. So will that be like an a la carte? Is that a subscription? And believe me, my audience knows things may change as you learn and, as you actually, get feet on the ground and figure out how people use this resource. But we talk a lot about, we call it a success path, which is not my term, but makes me think about what you're potentially trying to provide, which is how do you give someone more than just access to space, right? How do you kind of take them along whatever journey is appropriate for them? So I'm curious, how, is the coach, subscription, or just when I need something, what does the model look like there?
So we'll have different levels of coaching built in. So some might be, initially we'll do maybe a few meetings a month, just talking about business concepts in general, right? Just for those individuals that might need a little help with accounting concepts or whatever might those be. Then go on to another level will be group coaching. So there, and then we can move on to a third level, which will be individual coaching, purchased on, hourly blocks. And then, fourth level will be elite coaching, where we really have, an additional coaching group that can really help that person as well. So a few different levels in there for each individual person.
So yes, and I love you're building in lunch and learns and, member events sort of all in one with the educational sessions and then the group coaching. I love the idea of group coaching too. I would guess that there's a lot of stickiness. Some operators will do like masterminds but it's a unique owner typically that would be sort of equipped and want to host them themselves. So I'm curious about the profile of a franchisee. Are they in the professional development space, do they deliver the coaching, or does the franchisee really just kind of own the business and they hire the coach? What does that look like?
They could be the coach. They don't have to be the coach. So we have that certification available. They can hire that coach, on a salary basis, whatever it might be. We've had one or two that said, I'd really like to be that coach, and that's okay too. But doesn't necessarily have to be. We have quite a few people that just want to own one or multiple units.
And they just like the concept and they can kind of plug all the pieces together.
Yeah, again, going back to, lower overhead, multiple revenue streams, appealing to a lot of different people.
So what does the staff look like to support the revenue streams? Is there a barista, the coach? Is the coach the barista? No.
No. Right. So you're going to have, a staff in the cafe, just as you would with any other cafe, right? So a manager in the cafe with baristas and that type of thing. You're going to have a concierge welcoming people into the co-working facility, taking care of their needs, and you'll have a coach in that co-working facility as well.
Got it. So is the idea that the coach is full-time, or does the owner okay.
No, yeah, the coach is full-time.
So is there like an ideal sort of profile or mindset? Who joins, besides the charcuterie and the cafe access, who joins your space versus, the one that sort of more generic model down the street?
Yeah, so a few different things. The nice thing is with the cafe, anybody can come into the cafe, right? So that kind of is a business that number one is in and of itself, but number two feeds into the co-working facility, right? Because how many people go to other cafes just to work? And so it serves a dual purpose. But then number two, again, what's the typical consumer? I don't know that many entrepreneurs per se are going to co-working facilities as much when they're downtown and that type of thing. And so for us, by going to the suburbs, where I would hope that we're more attracted to the entrepreneur, but we're also available to those that you hear a lot, and you see a lot of articles now of whether companies are just not bringing people back, or bringing them back on a part-time remote, part-time in office. And again, the point of being out where they live is so that we can be that when they're not in their office location.
Yeah, the work anywhere, the hub and spoke. I know the where we work has never been such a hot conversation, and such an evolution of what's possible.
Well, and with our, you can go to successworlddownload.com.
Okay.
And that's actually the virtual office space that we have. So when you talk about hub and spoke, part of our model is, really that virtual space can be the hub, with these other spaces being the spoke. And so, in Success World, we have meeting rooms, we have convention halls with booths.
Wow.
We have all of those various things as well. And so it really is bringing together that virtual and in real life kind of relationship.
So you talked some of that technology. So I assume that sort of lives in the cloud. So you can access that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned sort of virtual meeting rooms being a part of what happens at the space. So this is a place where people could come together and interact with colleagues who are anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and so you could be in one Success space or wherever, at home, whatever it might be. Someone else could be. You both download Success World. You can meet inside of there and collaborate. There's digital boards that you can put, what you're speaking about up on the board. Again, there's literally an entire convention hall with booths and everything. I mean, it's a full-on office building, basically.
Super interesting. We'll have to check it out. We are doing, for our industry association conference this year, the Global Workspace Association, we're doing a hybrid in-person but virtual access, and we're always evaluating platforms, because that is certainly that world has evolved a lot over the past couple of years as well. So,
and I have a little history working with our events team as part of that as well prior to doing this. So yeah, happy to share thoughts on that.
yeah. So I'm curious about, the rest of for folks who don't know much about success. I'd love just to kind of back up and, talk a little bit about what the brand does, and are there any other components of that will kind of manifest in the physical space?
So yeah, I mean, so Success Magazine, again, has been around for almost 125 years now. Personal development magazine is really, what it's been all about. I'm seeing, you're familiar with a lot of people who have been on the cover over the years. Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn is someone from the personal development field that I've absolutely loved, and was a big part of the magazine at one point. And so it's been around and really focused on that personal development. And now we're also taking that brand and really building it out even more with the coaching, with the speakers bureau, with all of those various things that really couple nicely with Success Enterprises Success Magazine on its own.
I think it's also an interesting sort of intersection. You talked about remote workers, and one of the things that's happening is people want to work from anywhere. And another thing that's happening is people are thinking a lot about, what do I really want, right, in life? And so I don't know if our remote work managers want to be thinking about this, but I could see entrepreneurs using the coach, as well as, remote workers who are trying to figure out, right, what do I want to do with the next 10 years of my life? And having access to that kind of mindset piece and coaching feels, I love it.
That'll definitely be woven into the space too, right? Part of the decorations will be Success Magazine covers with, all sorts of people you're aware, are aware of, and they'll be on the wall, so to speak.
Right. I love it. Well, and you might develop some future, magazine cover folks from the co-working space model. So yeah. Tell us about the first location. Where will it be? Give us some details.
Yeah, the first location will be in Tampa. The suburbs of Tampa, the Tampa market. And, it'll be open probably in the next few months. So we're moving right along there. Have a lot of people have already reached out for other markets already, just based off of, hearing about our concept in conversations like this. And so I think, the rest of 2021 and 22 are just going to be a high growth, 18 months.
So I'm curious, with the cafe portion of the space, is an ideal location sort of like retail level, and is it like a Main Street play, or what are sort of the best locations that you're envisioning?
Yeah, so we built out a profile of kind of our ideal areas, but yes, 5,000 square foot space, strip center, located in a high foot traffic strip center, really is kind of the ideal location.
Easy parking.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, again, I mean, it's been a tough year for retail businesses in, shopping centers and whatnot, but for the real estate owners, this is one of those concepts that can fit really nicely into space. And I would guess there's a lot of that open around the country. And that's, probably one of the reasons you're seeing some interest in the model, because it and the varied revenue streams make a lot of sense for that type of location as well.
Very much so.
So if someone's listening and they are intrigued by the concept, do you have kind of an ideal profile of a franchisee? Like, do they have, you said they might be a coach, might not be, and how do they learn more about the concept if they want to get more details?
Yeah, so anybody can start at successfranchise.com. So successfranchise.com is our franchising website. Again, no, they do not have to be a coach or want to be a coach. It can be anywhere from someone that does want, to take on that role, or an individual operator just looking for, one space. Maybe to your point, they have a space previously used for something else that they'd like to convert right now, or a multi-unit investor, high net worth individual that might want to do that as well. So we have options available for, a lot of different profiles. So I don't know that we necessarily have one.
Yep. Nope. It makes sense. Somebody who's though interested in, I think, aligns with kind of, your goals for the space and the unique revenue streams and the coaching. I think this industry is really interesting because we're still at a point where geographically you can compete on, room in the market for multiple locations, right? But it gets exciting when, there's already, Tampa already has co-working spaces and you're creating an option that speaks to a specific segment.
Yep.
So it's not exactly niche, but you've created these layers that make it a really interesting concept and will probably appeal to folks. So it's an exciting time to be getting into the industry. I'm excited for you, and I bet you're learning a ton about the industry, and you will continue to learn a ton as you open your first location and franchisees put their flavors, on the space. So I can't wait to watch. I would love to come visit your first location.
We'd love to have you. And like I said, we have brought in team members already from deep history in co-working, in the cafe industry, in the coaching industry, and so all of that expertise is coming together here in this one location. So while I've learned a lot, we do have people on the team that really, we're not just throwing spaghetti, so to speak. So.
Yeah. Putting it all together and creating, a new concept. So,
yep.
Well, thank you for sharing. I can't wait to have you or somebody else on your team back when, you're a few locations in and I can only imagine the insights that you'll have to share on how people use the space and, how folks are adopting this new way of working who may not have ever used a co-working space before. So
I welcome the opportunity to come back.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch your journey. Thank you for taking the time. For those listening, I have notes on some of the resources that were mentioned. We'll put them in the show notes. So you can go to the website and grab the links so that you can reference if you're interested in franchising. We'll make sure those links are available so that you can learn more. So thank you again, and we'll look forward to hearing the updates.
Thank you, Jamie.